I'm actually really pleased that we've managed to upgrade our sewage capacity, our garbage capacity, and that we've also managed to get ourselves a little bit of a city skyline with a nice mixture of building themes, styles, zoning types, whatever you want to call it. I really like how Linden is coming together. Now, in saying that, we are having some issues with Linden at the moment. We still have the whole not enough customers thing, which I'm still adamant is a bug. Some of it's legit. 100% some of this is legit, but I've seen a couple of comments that were like, well, if you zoned your commercial in areas that were more befitting commercial zoning, you wouldn't have that problem. And I agree. But it's not like I've not been doing that. Yes, some of it is not in an ideal location, but there is commercial zoning in the green, as we can see right here, that still has that problem. It's green over here. It still has that problem. It's not because I'm not zoning it properly. It's because it's a bug, okay? That's what's going on. Now, in terms of other things, I've made one or two small changes here and there since the last episode. Nothing too major, just some small tweaks to traffic and roads. For example, this roundabout now has a lot of asymmetrical roads going to it. It used to be that this was the only one going from the roundabout, 3 lanes going off, 2 going left, 1 going straight on. The reason I changed it, and by the way, that stutter was an autosave going. That's going to happen. I've still got autosaving enabled. I've tweaked some settings, by the way, so we shouldn't see any texture problems. And if that works out, I'll do a little short video talking about all my settings and stuff again, because I did that once already, and apparently my game didn't like it. Anyway, the point is, this roundabout does back up quite regularly. We are going to have to do something about it at some point. I'm honestly thinking I might start doing ring roads around this entire space as it develops, but I might hold off on doing that until we move this industrial space to somewhere else. I don't know exactly where that's going to be, but I don't want it to stay here forever. Now, something else I decided to do between episodes was play around with trams just a little bit more. So we now have a tram line that goes all the way from here, which is pretty much next to our industrial space in the city. It goes past City Hall. We've got some stops here as well. It basically goes the entire way along this avenue. It has some stops very close to the train station as well. There's just no trams on that line right now because there's no connection between the depot and the line itself, which is kind of where this space comes in, because I realized if I take out those couple of path sections right there, what I can do is go and get myself a double tram track, make sure it's set up properly, and then I can just run a tram track straight down here. And I think that looks really cool. I really, really like that. And it also means that I could get rid of the tram stops that we have up here and move them down to the avenue. Now, that is arguably not the best idea in the world. It's going to cause more traffic problems, I'm sure. But I'm going to do it because I'm an idiot. It's basically the reason. That's essentially it. But I just think it'll look kind of good, is my thinking. So we'll bring one of these guys down here. We'll bring this other one down to right about there. And now what that means is we don't need these tram stops on this road. It also means I can go in and say that I don't want the tram lines on that little pedestrian road either. And it's going to look kind of cool having trams going down through here, I think. I mean, there's already people waiting for the yellow line. The yellow line now is the only one that runs along here. The other lines are now blue, as you can see. And they're going to come through. They're going to do their thing. They'll drop some people off, and that'll be great. But we should see pretty quickly anyway. Yeah, some yellow trams coming around. Wait, is that a yellow? That is an actual yellow one. It's not a, updated one that should be blue. That one there is also a yellow line. But this, I think, is going to be relatively popular because it does have stops, like I said, really close to the train station. So anyone going to or from the train station is going to be able to hop in a tram and get to the city center. I mean, look, it's already pretty popular, which is fantastic news. And then there's another one down here that's also pretty popular. So it's a good connection. It goes all the way from these row houses right here, all the way down to the city center. And the city center is kind of where I want to do stuff today, because I did talk in the last episode about potentially doing one of these guys, the National Gallery of Art right about here. And I do think it would look amazing in that spot. But then I got thinking, well, we still haven't dealt with all our education problems. We also have 10,500 people eligible for college. Good Lord. Elementary school is kind of rough as well. University, though, 3,700 people eligible with no capacity. So why don't we build a university right in the middle of the city? All right, so the university is $1.5 million. It's plus 2,000 XP, which is pretty substantial. And it's a decent looking building. Obviously, it needs some road access at the sides there, which we can absolutely do. So we'll bring this. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to bring some avenues down the sides here. So an avenue can go down here. We can turn off these guidelines. We'll go for something like 200 meters there, and we'll do exactly the same thing on this side as well. We want to go from here. We want to go about 200 meters. Let's just make sure that they actually do line up, which they absolutely do. And then we'll bring our pedestrian roads through here. So that gives us a connection, and we'll bring our pedestrian road over here as well, which gives us a nice connection. I don't know why these guys are being a bit weird. So let me just try and redo that. No, zoning is misbehaving is what it's doing, but honestly, probably not the end of the world. Oh, I see what's going on there. I see how I've managed to mess that up. Hold on a second. Wait. What way does that connection work? That's it's really odd looking, actually. I think that fixes it. If I do this, right? Yeah, that fixes it now. Okay. That's better. All right. So that's going to be a good place for a university. I do want to expand this thing though. We have the university library. We have the extension wing as well, which is kind of cool looking. And we have a university park, which is absolutely freaking enormous. Oh my God. Okay. I mean, this is, what does it do? What is this for? Just attractiveness and outdoor recreation? Okay. The extension wing gives us up to 500 additional students. So we will get the extension wing. And then the library stores vast amounts of knowledge and thus increases the students' chances of graduating. Okay. So this thing is probably going to be asymmetrical, right? That's kind of the conclusion I'm coming to here, is that this thing is most likely going to be asymmetrical. I do like the idea of this being at the back though. I feel like it should be, right? So it's right about there. And I'd love to put this back there, you know, at the other end of it, but unfortunately I can't do that. So I think we might have to just adjust these avenues. So we'll take those guys out. We'll go ahead and say that the library can go. I don't think it should be at the front of the building. I think it could maybe be, I'm actually thinking this side, since we already have a building on the other side. So right about there should be fine for the library. It's not a perfect connection, but it will probably do the job. And then I just need to figure out how I'm going to surround this thing with roads and how exactly it's going to work. So, well, do I want another park? Is that something we want? I could have done 2 of these at the front. I'd have to bulldoze the entire thing if I wanted to do that, but I could do 2 of these giant parks at the front. And honestly, I'm kind of here for it. Okay, so I changed things up ever so slightly. I've decided that we are just going to have some roads that go around the university because we are probably going to have buildings on that road, and I figured it would kind of make sense. But I do want to come in here, and I do want to start putting in some little paths just to try and connect this all through and make it look interesting. So some paths just sort of like this, sort of cutting through the middle of this space is kind of what I'm looking for, so that it almost looks like a continuation of the paths that are, you know, in the university itself. And again, it just sort of looks interesting, and that's kind of what we're going for. I'm also going to just sort of push through here with some extra paths because we can, because again, it's going to look interesting. It's going to be a little bit more detail in here, and then it gives me sort of some guidelines to go ahead and put some trees and some details in there a little bit later on. It might not be the worst idea in the world to get some curves in here and make it look a little bit more interesting that way. But I'm also kind of liking the idea of just doing some diagonals like this, really. I mean, we could push one straight through there if we wanted to, which again, I don't necessarily hate. I don't think it looks terrible. Maybe take out these guys in the middle, maybe take out this one and take out this one, and it gives us that, which would be honestly a nightmare to navigate. Say you wanted to go from here across to there, you got to go like around all weird like, but I don't know. I'm kind of here for it. I'm kind of here for it. That looks like a nightmare, man. No, we can't do that. That makes no sense. That would never be a thing. That's something that's like aesthetically pleasing for me to look at, but as far as like actually being designed for use in a city, that's just not, it's not going to be a thing. I could push through that. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. I think I might just You know what? They'll stay. They're fine. It's totally fine. It's also nice that the snow is starting to melt a little bit. I can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit more. And honestly, I don't mind this. It's already got 607 people here, which is kind of amazing. That's a really good number, which means honestly, the trams are probably doing exactly what I want them doing. We're probably going to have a lot of people going back and forth here, which is absolutely fantastic news. We have a lot of people parking here as well, a lot of parking spaces in the university. And honestly, we are going to want more parking in and around here as well. But for now, I'm not too worried about that. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this train line because I have no idea. I'm really not 100% sure how I'm going to cross the train line, given we're starting to get to a hill here. I've really picked sort of the worst space possible to build my downtown is what I've done. This might have to be a little bit more low rise than high rise. I don't know what I'm exactly going to build around it. It's not a great spot for commercial zoning, that's for sure. So I don't know. I really, really don't know what's going to go around this thing just yet. I'll tell you what we'll do though. We have a bit of demand for offices, so we'll build them in there just to get that demand out of there and sort of, you know, hide the industry that's in that space. And then I guess along here, I would kind of want to do mixed use North American is sort of what I'm thinking. So let's drop that in there. Let's drop that in there. And that'll start to fill up this avenue. And we'll start to get an idea of what this avenue is going to look like with a bunch of buildings on it. It's also, ooh, do I want them to build on this road? I don't know that I do, actually. Now that I think about it, these buildings might have to be a little bit smaller. We're going to leave a bit of a gap at the back there. And how far does that go? It goes about as far as this road. So we'll cut out there as well. We'll let that build on the avenue rather than on the university. And maybe actually we just chop out the university section of zoning completely. So chop out that bit and chop out this bit as well. We'll let these bits build. We'll do some decorations in those spaces too, which means, you know, a little path right about there and a little path right about here. We can cut straight across exactly the way we have everywhere else. We'll do the same on this side as well. And maybe I can get another diagonal or two in here. I can do this, for example. I can do that. It's a bit weird, but it sort of carries this style through, and that's sort of what I'm looking for. So something like that, I think will be perfectly fine. Once we get some trees in there, I think that'll look really good. So I think what I'm also going to try and do here is get some considerable growth into this part of the city. Now, what I want to do is just sort of punch a road straight back there and fill this with a grid. I know that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but really that's about all we can do here. I'm also liking the idea of bringing a little path behind a lot of these buildings too. I think that'll be fantastic. My issue in doing this is that obviously it's going to cause some traffic problems. So I think what I might do is swap this road out for an avenue. It does get rid of a building and it does create a bit of a weird junction there, but I'm honestly kind of okay with that. I could swap this one out as well. I don't think we need to do that. I think this one 100% needs to be an avenue though. And honestly, we probably do want some of these roads to be a little bit higher density as well, but I'm going to give this a shot by basically saying that I want to use the grid tool to just build something between these guys and see how that goes. So the zoning on this is obviously not going to be perfect. So though if I did this, it would be a little bit better, which I think that's kind of what we'll do. And then we'll just punch another one of these roads through here. We'll punch one straight through there. And that gives us a grid. Obviously, it's, again, not the most exciting thing in the world, but it does what I need it to do. And I suppose I could bring some roads down here as well. I don't dislike that idea. Although I'm also thinking that maybe what we do is get a large parking lot and we put it somewhere like here so that it's kind of taking up one of these spaces. It could go there as well. It would almost fit in there, which would be kind of a great spot for it. But I like the idea of putting some kind of large parking lots into some of these spaces. We could obviously do the overground one. We could do the underground ones as well. The underground one actually fits annoyingly well in this space, which has me extremely tempted to go for one of these, which honestly, I think it makes too much sense to not do right? I mean, it's probably got some pretty good capacity to it, although putting it right by that intersection is probably a terrible idea. Honestly, putting this in its own little bit of road might not be a bad idea, but I think what we'll do for now, oh, I do like this one. I do really like the overground. I love how this building looks. I do like being able to see my parking lots as well. That's kind of my thing. That's where my hesitation is. I do like seeing them. So what if we said underground there, and then I can squeeze a large parking lot next to it, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense. I know it's a bit weird to have like your underground part, then, well, I don't know. It's not that uncommon, I guess, to have, different surface, levels of parking, but regardless, that's what we're going to do. I like to see my parking. So we're going to do both is what we're going to do. And we'll have a little path there. I can detail it. It'll look fantastic. And then for all of this, I mean, for one, we're probably going to need more than just the one set of parking lots. So maybe we come down here and maybe we try and squeeze in. Ooh, it does fit really nicely in there. Again, I hate that it fits so well. I really do. I hate that it fits so well, but I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to put an above ground parking lot in there. Again, I know it's such a massive amount of space, but I just like to be able to see my things. So that's what we're doing. And then behind this guy, we could do, I might be able to get two of these guys in here, I think. So if I put you there and you there, it's honestly not bad. I wish they were the same sort of theme, right? Instead of, tan here and gray there, but that's okay. And then we'll just do a path and a path. We'll sort of connect these guys over the way we obviously always do. And I think that's fine. That's a good use of that space, I guess. The rest of this is going to get some pedestrian roads and then some zoning, and hopefully it's going to build relatively quickly. And so with a little bit of tweaking, we've got some mixed use stuff coming up here around the university. We've got some North American medium density housing here at the back as well. And then over this way, I bulldozed some lower density towers to replace them with some higher density residential, because I don't think it makes all that much sense to have proper skyscrapers over here. I don't think that's kind of the look that I'm going for. So we'll go for something a little bit more low rise. It'll be kind of around this height, which is totally fine. I don't love that we've got some buildings that are collapsing over here. I guess my fire coverage is kind of terrible. And honestly, I've not really done much with services in a while. We do have, admittedly, a decent spread of firehouses, but I guess the coverage just kind of sucks. So we could build an actual fire station in here as well if we wanted to, which I might do. I might, take out one of these roads and do a little something, but I am also kind of excited to see how this whole space comes together, because I do think it's going to be good to have these wall-to-wall buildings sort of looking in towards the university. I think this is sort of the look I'm going for. This is sort of the look that I'm wanting. Again, we've got our parking right here. We've got sort of the older looking building with the university, and we have these guys sort of surrounding it, which is good. These guys in the back is totally fine as well. Not really too worried about that. And I'm hoping that most of the traffic is actually going to want to use the avenue to get in here and get around, rather than using these roads down here. And I mean, if things get particularly bad, then what I can do is potentially turn these into one-way roads, or I can use districts to say traffic doesn't go that way. It's not the end of the world. So I suppose while this space is coming together, we should take a moment to deal with some of the other issues, because I am noticing here and there that people are routinely waiting for ambulances. Every now and then I'm seeing people waiting for hearses as well. And obviously we've seen some fire problems too. So let's try to deal with as much of that as we can. When it comes to death care, honestly, a crematorium is going to be pretty much the solution for all of it. So what I think I'm going to do is put a crematorium sort of on this corner right about here. And I kind of like that spot for it. It's opposite this guy. I actually don't like what it's doing with the terrain though, which is a bit of a pain. Is this a bit flatter down here? It actually is. So let's just move you to right about here. And that's going to give us some space behind it, which honestly, I'm kind of okay with. This also has an additional incinerator. It has hearse garages as well, which we can absolutely build more of. But I think we'll do the incinerator. We'll do the refrigerator expansion. And I guess we'll do some additional garages on this thing as well, just to make sure that the coverage this thing provides is as good as it can possibly be. And then what I'm going to do is just go in here, take out those trees as well. And we're going to create, I don't want to say it's a park because it's not, it's surrounding a crematorium, but we're going to create just a little space that's a little bit decorative. It's a little bit nicer, you know, just a little something to surround this thing so that, you know, it's I don't want to say pleasant to be around. It's a crematorium. You know what I mean, right? It's a crematorium, man. It's not going to be pleasant to necessarily be around, but that's okay. I'm also going to use some alder trees to line this a little bit because the alder trees are actually kind of huge when they grow. I'll try and find one or two shortly and show you exactly how big they get. I'm also realizing that really this building could be bigger. I'm going to just, oh, that's not what I'm, no, I'm looking for one big building on that corner. Maybe if I bulldoze you, in fact, what if I go in here and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, take out you, that might force a larger bit. Let me just take out all of these guys for a second. Let's just try and force some larger buildings into this space for now is what we're going to do. Anyway, I want my alder trees. I want it to go there, and I'm just going to line this road because like I said, they do get pretty large. They are some pretty good looking trees. And so they will kind of hide the crematorium a little bit, which isn't necessarily what I'm trying to do. It's just that I also don't think it should be like front and center on this major road. So that's not going to be. And there we go. I think this looks fine. It does the job. It's everything that I want it to be. And it has 20 vehicles, which is perfect for this space. We've also got more medium density residential coming in here, which is fantastic. We have got some demand for hearses around here as well, which will be dealt with. But what I want to do is, oh, we've so many complaints everywhere. I want to come over here and actually take out some of these buildings because I want to get a little bit more of a skyline going here. So I'm going to take these guys out. I'm going to take these guys out, and I'm going to take all of you guys out of there as well. And what I'm going to replace them with is some high density offices because I think that's going to be good to have in this space. So this right here is going to be high density office. This is going to be high density office. And I'm going to take, I'm going to take that little bit out. I'm going to bring them across here, and I'm going to bring a path just straight across there instead of doing the little weird section that we have going on. So let's see, bring you over to here. I might try and line these up as best I can, which I absolutely can do. We'll get rid of you. And if we let that build, it should pretty much instantly fill, which is what we're looking for. It might have a couple of gaps for now, but that is going to sort of join the skyline that we have. We're no longer going to have this little cluster of towers here and another cluster over here. It's also going to nicely sort of surround City Hall, which is kind of what I'm wanting to do. It's a bit of a shame to do it because what we're going to be doing is blocking the view of the mountains from City Hall, but I think it's okay. I kind of want this to feel like its own little world in here. I want it to feel much higher density than the rest of the city. And I do want the skyline to sort of be one thing. So this is going to help with that. And then obviously, I also kind of want to come in here with something like this or something like the observation tower as sort of like a main focal point of the city. I think that'd be really cool. Same with the bronze statue, actually. I really kind of wish I wonder if I could clear out this space. I mean, it won't go central, which is annoying. But the bronze statue right in the middle of the city would be kind of a vibe. And I'm sort of here for it. This thing as well could actually technically fit right in there. That'd be a bit silly, but we'll see. I'm not going to get too carried away right now, but we'll see what we can do. Although, you know what I'm realizing while we're talking about all of these European themes versus the North American ones? I really like the idea that this is sort of more of like an old town. I have still got plans to tear this apart. I very much still want to do that, but I really like the idea that this is sort of our old town and this is our much more, well, I don't want to say modern because these buildings don't look super modern, but this is definitely more recent, right? This is our European kind of side. This is our North American side. I like the idea of having that split, and it's sort of blending together. It's an interesting look. Is what we'll call it. It's definitely an interesting look, especially from here. I really like the vibe of like looking. I mean, that's cool. That's a cool shot right there, looking towards the skyline. I actually really like that. Actually, that's really cool. But the reason I bring that up is because what I'm thinking I might do is start to bring some roads kind of through here. I don't love that as a connection. It's going to be a nightmare for traffic. It is definitely going to cause some additional traffic in there, but I think it's probably worth having. I might even go so far as saying it might be worth swapping that out to be an avenue, because that is probably going to be a really busy connection. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll have a little avenue right there, and that'll let people sort of get back and forth from the industry to this part of the city without having to go to the roundabout, which is going to be kind of huge. At least I think so. I might even go so far as saying that this road here, I think, is going to have to be a one-way road. I think swapping this guy out to be a little one-way road is going to help us out just a little bit. I might say it only needs to be 2 lanes though, instead of 3. I'm not too sure on that. I think we can probably get away with 2 lanes for now. And then this guy is going to be one way going that way as well. So that avenue sort of filters around kind of nicely. It does its thing. It lets traffic get from here down to the industry again without going to the roundabout. And it also means that traffic wanting to go sort of this way can't cut through all of here. It's just, I think that's going to be good. The other reason I want to do that though is because I do honestly want to come in here and just do some grid stuff. I think that's kind of where I'm at again, is just coming in here and saying that this could all be a big old grid. I don't think I need to use the grid tool to do it. And I'm also realizing that in doing this, I'm kind of breaking up my one-way system, which is maybe not the best idea in the world, but we'll give it a shot. Do I want to give it a shot? Do I want to do this? I think we can get away with a regular 2-lane road on this for that little bit, and that'll be okay. We'll chop you out and maybe just continue this over as a 2-lane road. That might be the way to go. Again, it's along the train tracks, which is pretty good. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is bring this along the train tracks to about there, which is about as far as we can go. And I think I'm just going to cut through here. Again, it's going to be a grid. It's going to have to be a grid if I want the roads, or not the roads, the buildings to line up the way I do, which obviously I do. So we'll put a little bit of a grid in here. We'll play around with some of the European buildings, and we'll see if we can make something kind of interesting. Because I think today, my goal I've sort of settled into here is to basically just boost the population really, really nicely. So, ooh, we're a large city. Nice. Okay, what do we got? 12 development points. We got 39 tiles we can get right now. Good Lord. Okay. I don't want the automated parking building. I don't need that right now. I don't think I need any of that stuff either. Is there anything that I urgently need? I don't know that there is. We've not had emergencies. I don't think I have natural disasters turned on. I probably should switch them on though. I'm going to get the central bank just because it's a cool building to have. And I think I'm going to get air as well, so we can finally start playing around with the idea of some airports. I think that'll be really exciting. Now, this is fine in terms of a layout for this space. It's kind of what I'm looking for. We'll bring this down to here as well. I'm not going to punch through there with any additional roads. I don't think I need them. And then this right here, I don't know. It could be a park. It could be zoned. It could be anything really. Doesn't really matter what it turns into. We could fill it up as well. We could just push a road straight through, which, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll just make that a little bit more dense, and we'll sort of lean into some of the European vibes. Now, I don't necessarily want this to be nothing but row houses. I feel like in a way I'm almost tempted to move the row houses off of the avenue and onto some of these roads and do things that way. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring a little path across here if it's going to let me do that, which apparently it doesn't want to let me do. So a little path right to about there. We'll punch it right to about there. Do I have one on this side? I don't. Okay, that's fine. What we'll then do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take out these row houses. And I'm going to take them off of this one as well. We're going to take the row houses off the avenues. I don't want them to be there anymore. I want to go a little bit denser with what's on that avenue. And then the row houses can come down into this space, which is totally fine. So EU medium density row housing is what we're looking for. I'm going to use this little trick that I always use to make sure that it doesn't zone facing the wrong direction, which it's not going to be doing. So we'll do all of that. That'll fill up kind of nicely. Along the tracks, probably row housing. I'm not really too sure on that one. But along this avenue, I'm thinking EU mixed use zoning so that we can get something kind of cool in here. In fact, what is this? Is this mixed use as well? This is absolutely mixed use zoning. Okay, so that's perfect. This is all going to be mixed use zoning. In fact, the entire way along here is going to be EU mixed use zoning. And we're basically going to do the same thing on this side as well. So all of this is going to be a big old strip of commercial and residential. That is completely fine by me. That's going to cut away a lot of the demand for those buildings that we have. But again, it's going to feed into the idea that this is our old town. And that's what I want. I want this to be our old town. I want this to be kind of cool. I'm also thinking these row houses can probably go away as well. They don't look too great in there. And these guys, I think they're North American style. I might get rid of them. I think we're going to commit to the idea that we don't have too many North American style buildings at this end of the city. I'm also realizing I need to extend my my tram a little bit. So let's very quickly do that. We want to go ahead and say that this road is going to have 2 sets of tram tracks going all the way up to here. And then we don't want one there. And I do want to stop right about there. Do I want any more along this road? I don't think I'm going to need them. I think we'll be perfectly fine. We'll do a stop right here as well. And then all I need to do is move this one to be right there. And then I just need to add some stops to this side. And I want to add some stops to this side. And that should be perfectly fine. So that extends the trams into the old town a little bit further, which I think is good, right? It's an old town. It should have trams. That's what we're looking for. And then I guess this space back here, since we have got demand for offices, and I think that's what these guys are, we can do some low density offices behind these buildings just to fill the space, to deal with a little bit of that demand and start to fill all of that in. And these are not too bad looking. They're not distinctly European looking either, but I mean, well, they are. They've got the rooftop and all that stuff. They're just a bit weird looking. Either way, again, it's sort of creating that old town vibe that I'm looking for. These guys are, I'm pretty sure they're European. I did select the right theme, right? Let's see. EU medium density row housing. Yeah. I don't remember them looking like this. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember some of these. I don't remember the yellow ones. That's throwing me off, but I mean, it's whatever. It looks interesting. That's, yeah, that's really throwing me off. Okay. It's really odd. It's, it's really, really odd. All right. I'll tell you what we'll do then. I'm going to push a road through here is what we're going to do. We're going to bring this road straight across to about there. And that's going to have more row houses on it, which is totally fine. So EU medium density row housing will fill in all of these spaces the way we always used to do so that we're not going to have them facing the wrong way. So something like this. And then I can go and fill in these spots. That one's tiny. No, we're not doing that. We're not, we're not doing these tiny little row houses. I don't know what that's about. Let me just make sure that they're all going to be full size, which they absolutely are. And then we can go over this and say the rest of it's going to get zoned. And I think that'll look okay. I think that'll be good with some row houses in here. I don't know. I don't know for sure that it's going to be okay. I do think maybe taking these guys out and replacing them with some medium density, sort of taller EU housing might be an idea. So something like this instead of the row houses. I don't want that. There we go. One big building will be perfectly fine. Yeah, I think that'll be the way to go. And then I think some of this can be a park. I think we can maybe get away with saying that we want a nice large plaza in here somewhere, like right about there, for example. I don't love what it's doing to the terrain. I'm going to be honest. Not a huge fan of that, but it should keep people entertained. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. All right. So I think this kind of has the vibe that I'm looking for. It's similar to what we've done over here, but it's obviously different. It's got a little park in the middle. I decided to go for something custom, even though it doesn't have the benefits of attractiveness and all of that, because the terrain is just at too much of an angle and it's not perfect. The paths don't line up exactly, but honestly, it's fine. I actually don't mind it too much. And I love how the city looks from sort of this angle. Obviously, you know, there's like an empty spot there, but if you kind of get the right angle, like here, you can sort of just start to see everything coming together. And I really like that. You have this older sort of European vibe going on, and then you've got the modern city with the skyscrapers all the way down there. I really like that. I think it looks really, really cool, and I'm really excited for how this is coming together. Obviously, there's a lot of space still to fill up around here, but it's starting to get to where I want it to be, and I'm really enjoying that. All right, so I was talking a little bit earlier about the alder trees, and that reminded me that we haven't actually had a look at the college since the trees have grown, and good lord, this place is interesting with all of the fully grown trees. It's a little bit overgrown, I would say. I think I might have went a little too heavy on the trees around here, to be quite honest. I think especially around here, it's yeah, it's got a vibe to it. It's definitely it's definitely got a vibe to it now that the trees have grown, but I don't hate it. I don't mind it. It's kind of cool looking. I also love that the trees have come in the suburbs as well. I'm really pleased. I've started to really enjoy the tree growth in Cities Skylines 2 because it gives you an excuse to go back and look at something, and in a way you kind of laugh at it, right? Because it's like, oh, you go really heavy on trees when you place them because they're so small, and then they grow, and it's like, oh, I might have went a bit too crazy on that right there. That actually makes me wonder, wait, what's going on down here? How did this happen? Oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. This is full? That's surprising. That's also really worrying, actually. Is this full? Oh, no. I think garbage might just be bugged. I don't think it's just the incineration plant that's bugged. I think garbage in general might just be bugged. I've seen a couple of comments talking about the fact that it is. So I'm starting to think there might be a problem with garbage. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. I don't think it's controversial to say that they shouldn't all be full, yet here we are. Huh. I mean, in other news, the trees haven't grown yet. They're starting to. I think this is going to look good when they do, but yeah, it would stink out here. Good lord. Anyway, I want to get away from the European stuff for a wow. That was a really strained anyway. That sounded like I was in pain. Good lord. I want to get away from the European stuff for a second, and I want to come back to this end of things because I've just adjusted the train track so it runs a little bit straighter before curving around and running out of the region. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this stretch of road across here, and I'm going to see if I can connect it here. I'm not 100% sure that I can. I actually, ooh, now that might be perfect. And honestly, it's not. it's you know what? It's not perfect, is it? It's really. Okay, so as far as road layouts go, this isn't exactly the most inspired one that I could have went for, but it does cross the tracks, and that's what we're looking for. And it does run all the way down here as well, which is also what we're looking for. I suspect the trains are going to give us some problems. I'm also not loving this one, so I'm going to take that one out since it's a little bit too steep. Is this one okay? It is, yeah, that one's actually totally fine. So we'll live with that. Honestly, my goal here is very much the same as what we did on this side of things. It's going to be to essentially just have a bunch of residential zoning in here with a nice little mix of mixed use NA stuff. So we actually have got, if we look at our overlay, we have got some good spaces here for some mixed use, or well, for commercial zoning anyway. So I'm just going to fill up to about there, since that is kind of where it's, wait, that's high density. Ooh. You know what? Maybe we do some high density business in here since we don't really have too much of it. And honestly, the North American high density business stuff is going to look like this. So it's going to be totally fine. It's not super high rise buildings or anything like that. It might be a little bit too fancy for this space, but I'm willing to allow it is what I'm willing to do. I'd also like a building in here. I'd like them to not be weird sizes. If I can get away with that, I'm really hoping that I can. So something more normal, that'll do. These ones, absolutely not. Still absolutely, nope, we're not. That'll have to do right there. That's, you know what we'll actually do? Let me chop across here, take out some of that zoning. Let me bulldoze you, and you guys, and you guys. And that should give us a nice little mix of smaller buildings, which is totally fine. We're not doing this. That's Is that a wider wait, what's going on there? Do we have like a wide? No, not really. I'm not too sure why there's like a weird gap there on that one. That is really odd when, hold on. Is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this one is a little bit wider. Interesting. Okay, we'll take out that middle bit then. Bulldoze these guys. We'll get one right there. That's fine, I guess. I think this one's also going to be a little bit wider. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. Okay, let's just take out this bit in the middle completely. We'll leave this open. We'll maybe do some kind of park in there. In fact, is this, no, this whole area is not good for commercial. Okay, I guess that's fine. This area is not going to be bad for residential, so we'll do some North American, you know, medium density housing in here. We'll fill up, say, these spaces is what we'll do. I really don't want the small buildings though. I want them to be like normal sized buildings. It's really odd that it insists on doing that. I guess I'll allow this. I'll try and get some symmetry in here is what we'll go for. So, oh, that fills up fine. Okay. That's really odd, but okay, we'll allow it. There we go. So that's going to fill up those bits. This bit's going to be a bit weirder, but honestly, I'm sort of here for it. That's fine. We can just do a little path through the middles of these buildings, and that'll be totally fine. It's a way for people to walk from one side to the other, and I'm okay with it. So there we go. That can live right in there. That'll be some pretty good zoning. It'll expand, you know, this entire space. It'll mean, oh, I mean, that's good. We've pretty much nearly filled the university. If we go and have a look at the college, we've filled the college. We've filled the elementary school. We've not filled the high school, which is an interesting one. Oh, wow. We are doing pretty good for education. We're going to need more elementary schools. We're going to need more everything. Well, I say need. I don't think we need any of that stuff. That's one of the things with cities too, is that you don't necessarily need to go all out with your zoning, but you absolutely can. Ooh. I don't know how I feel about this. I'd like that to not be that kind of layout, but I think that's maybe what we're going for. Can I fill up this entire space? I'd very much like to. I'd like it to, there we go. We'll do this just because it fills the space. And you know what? Let's just zone the rest of this as well. Although I kind of want to put mixed use housing across this avenue now that I think about it. So let me just bulldoze all of you guys. And so this is what, 5 and 5. So if I do that, if I just take out, hold on, let me take out all of this zoning. So all of you can go away. These little guys, that's 5 by 5 right there. That should turn into 2 buildings. This is, what is that? 5 by 5. That'll be a building. That's a building. That's a building. And that's a building. So that's a nice little spread. That's going to be 1 as well. And that's going to be 1. We could maybe do a path behind these guys if we really wanted to, but I would be willing to bet that if I just go in here with some NA medium density zoning, it'll just fill it up really nicely. Yeah. So that's fine. So that'll give us some commercial along this avenue, which I did decide to put in here because I figured an avenue probably made a bit more sense for the middle of this kind of district. So that's kind of what I went for. We can also just fill up all of these guys in exactly the same way, getting some nice, ooh, I need to start placing some signature buildings. I've really not played around with them too much. Are we getting some weird sizes here? We kind of are. I'm kind of willing to allow it there though, since we're starting to get into the weirdly shaped parts of this district. I'm also going to do here as well, which again, I'd like it to at least fill up the block. Yeah, that'll be fine. So this little space back here can be a park behind these buildings. This is going to be filled up as well, which I'm sort of okay with. I'd like it to be, that'll do. And that'll be all right. I guess we just extend this sort of through here as well. We might get some buildings on the avenue there, but again, it fills up the space. It gives us some nice wall-to-wall things going on there, which I really appreciate and really enjoy. And again, it's going to give people both space to live and space to shop in here, which is exactly what we're looking for. And if we zoom out, I mean, it's starting to be one of the larger areas of the city, so I might want to slow down a little bit on that. And maybe we want to go back to some suburbs, given that we have a lot of demand for it. But it is boosting the population. We're up to 54,000 people. We're still sitting on almost $93 million. So despite the fact that I've built a lot today so far, we're not really running out of money. which is really good. Now, while that's all building, I think I'm going to come down here and extend the tram tracks a little bit further. Now, this intersection here is kind of a nightmare, and it's going to continue to be, but I think it might be an idea to sort of bring this tram track down, around, and down this avenue. I don't know if I need it to loop around like that, but I think I want it to loop around like that. And so I'm going to make it loop around like that. And we're going to see just how that goes. So we'll get ourselves some tram tracks here. We can start to double up on this road a little bit. We'll double up here as well the entire way. And I think we will. I don't think this avenue is going to be crazy super busy. I think it'll be busy, but I don't think it's going to be ridiculously so. So I'm willing to kind of give it a shot. Now, if I put a stop, let's say right about there, that's going to cover a good chunk of this district. And if I put a stop, say there and there, it covers sort of the middle of it. We can do a stop, say right next to the parking lot as well. And then we have one out in the front as well. So I don't think we need to go too crazy with the rest of this. I'm also looking at this and thinking I might want to swap this out for a different type of road so that the traffic can get through, but I'm kind of willing to give it a shot. So what we're going to do is grab this stop and basically bring it around to there. And then we would just want to add more stops essentially. So one right there, one right there. We'll do exactly the same around here as well. So we want to stop right here and a stop right there. And we want to bring this back as well. So we want another stop to be right about there. We want to say it stops here and it stops there. And that should, I think, provide pretty good coverage to that entire space, which is what we want it to do. It also looks kind of cool. I think having some tram lines going straight down here, I think it's a really cool vibe. And it's going to look good if it ends up being really busy, which I'm hoping it does. I mean, the trams in general are the most popular means of transport around the city. And I think that's going to be largely down to the fact that that yellow line is doing some heavy lifting is what it's doing. And it's probably going to continue to do some heavy lifting because it's now going into another district, which is fantastic. So I think it's the last thing we do today. We need to have a look at tram line 3, the yellow line, because all of these trams are full and there's currently 7 vehicles on the line. I don't necessarily want to say, actually, you know what, 1,445 there. How many per tram? 240. Yeah, so most of them are full. There's a lot there. So we actually do probably want to go up to like 10 vehicles on this line just to make sure that it's going to function. Although I don't know that we have the capacity for another 10 vehicles. We're using all 15 on the tram network right now. So we might actually end up with no vehicles. So we need another depot for the trams, which honestly should be fine. We have all this space over here, which admittedly I'm wanting to get rid of a lot of this industry at some point. But for now, I think I might be willing to build a little tram depot down here just to, keep the tram network running. So we might as well have a little bit of a look. Is that land flat in there? It looks kind of flat. It looks like it'll be all right. Yeah. I think we can get away with a little tram thing here. It's obviously going to need some connections, but I'm also going to say that it's going to be upgraded with the extra garage right there. And then all we need to do is connect this around to everything else, which we can totally do by just running some trams straight up through there. So we'll upgrade you and you. We'll upgrade this entire stretch of road, which is going to have trams running up and down the middle, which honestly I'm going to do. I don't think this road is crazy busy, so I think I can get away with it. And we'll just run them straight through all of this, and that connects out. And that should... Oh, that's not connected there. Why is that? Oh, it's a little one-way road. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. What I'm going to need to do then is, do I want to run the trams out there? I guess I do. I mean, I don't need to do this, but I'm going to do this because I don't know. I like the idea of the detail. So we'll bring this over. That connects around like that. That should be fine. So we should have, I think, yeah, there we go. We got the trams coming out. They're going to be sitting in traffic for just a little bit, which is totally fine. They're then going to get this sort of free reign right up the middle. This is what I like about using this kind of road with the median, because if you do this, your trams just get to fly up and down the road, not, you know, held back by anything. It's a really good way to do things. It really is. And I'm almost wondering if it would be an idea to maybe swap out these roads for like a 6-lane road with a median, something like that. If I was to get rid of the little sections of path right there, I might be able to do that. There's a definite chance I could probably do that. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to look terrible, but it would also be interesting. It would let me put my trams back in the middle of the road, and that's kind of what I want. So, oh boy. Oh boy. This is going to be something. The other problem is this road is not, the nodes aren't symmetrical on this. So what I might try and do here is put a little like alley or something right here. And that should even out the nodes. It absolutely does. If I demolish you, are they now even? They are. What does this look like? Is that too much? Is that hideous looking? It is it? It's not great looking, is it? It's not a great look. It's really, I don't know about that. What if I did this as well? What does that look like? It gives me the trams right up and down the middle. It does mean that I still have the 2 lanes, which is something. I don't know. Don't know how I feel about this. I really don't. Oh man. we're doing, I'm cooking something here. I don't know if I'm cooking something good, but I'm cooking something all right. All right, you know what? I think I am actually okay with this. Yes, it's a bit weird looking. Yes, these are some very wide roads, and yes, it's a little bit messy with some of the connections for traffic coming down here, but it does let the trams go through this center space a little bit quicker, and I think that's good. It's honestly something I'm really tempted to do for a lot more of this space. At least I'm very tempted to do it for this entire section, which would mean sort of shuffling some buildings back, which I don't necessarily know I want to do. But I'm also not entirely against doing, because again, if I do that, it's going to allow the trams to go a little bit faster along here, which I think is sort of what I'm going for. I think that's kind of the point of the trams. That's how I'm looking at them, is it's a way to get through the city without being held up by traffic. So I think we're going to bulldoze these buildings, and I think I'm going to have to bulldoze that connection of path, and I'm going to extend this road. I'm going to make it large, which is a bit weird. I really wasn't expecting to want to do this, but it's what we're doing. I can also do an 8-lane version, which is ridiculous. I don't think we need that. But I do think, I don't know. I think this is a good shout. I think making this road that little bit wider is going to be good. I think it's going to let, you know, the trams get through. It's going to let traffic get through. It's going to be good for everybody. I'm debating whether or not to do the median up here as well. I don't know that there's enough traffic on this road to be held up by doing that. I really don't. So we're going to give it a shot. Is what we're gonna do, since we have it. Oh man, I don't know about this. I really don't know about this. It might be a terrible idea. I could do this. I think that's just gonna push. No, that does give the trams a dedicated space. I don't think we're gonna do that. I think this is fine. I think this will be okay. And then all I need to do is come in here and say that this is once again going to be a bunch of mixed use North American zoning. A little bit smaller than it otherwise was, but that's okay. And then I just need to connect this path here again, which I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that. I guess something like that will do the job. And then we'll do kind of similar over here, so we kind of have that symmetry going on. This might take a minute to, never mind. I was going to say it would take a minute to rebuild. Apparently not. Although we've got some weird gaps in there that I really don't appreciate. So I'm going to just sort of bulldoze chunks of this until it fills in properly, which apparently it doesn't want to do. I used EU. That's why. All right, switch back to North American. Give me the marquee tool. And this entire thing is North American style, not EU. So we'll do this. We can bulldoze pretty much all of it just to get it to reset. And then it should fill in exactly the way I want it to. Yes, we've got some smaller buildings, but it's not the end of the world. And let's just have a look at how this is going. So we've got a lot of people walking back and forth, which makes sense because we just kicked a lot of people out of their houses. But the same amount of traffic should be able to go back and forth here. And we should also have the trams able to cut through the traffic, no problem, which is fantastic. And I think I'm going to go so far as to say that I do want to have grass along here. I don't think I want people parking alongside this this road. I think we might need to get some parking lots in there to help with that just a little bit, but I think it'll be good. We could do some trees down the middle if we really wanted to, but again, I think we're going to just sort of stay away from that idea. And you know what? As ridiculous as that looks, I actually think it's going to be good. And looking at this, it might have actually been a terrible idea to go down to just one lane on this road. So you know what? We've learned our lesson on that one. Let's swap it back to this guy. The tram's going to be sharing the road with the people on this one, which is fine. They'll manage. Okay, so I think that's probably going to do us for today. This is a pretty good expansion to the city over here, although I will say I want to tear a little bit of it apart because we did unlock the central bank, and I do think the central bank should be relatively close to the city center. And I'm also thinking that I might put some towers around this, especially when we do get the central bank in here. It is also worth pointing out we are having some issues. We have not enough customers pretty much everywhere, which again, part of that's bugged. Part of it is probably legitimate though. We probably just have way too much commercial zoning for the number of people here. We have 64-ish thousand people, and that's good. That's a good amount of people, but for the amount of commercial zoning we have, that's kind of a problem. With that said, I still stand by that some of it is just because of the bug that's in the game right now with there not being enough customers. We're also running into some issues with garbage piling up. That's because garbage is, man, it's also bugged, I guess. It's the reality of it. I will say that probably the waiting for a hearse thing is more so that traffic kind of sucks down here. So I would say hearses are probably getting stuck in traffic just a little bit. I did swap some of this out for a one-way system because traffic was getting stuck in the middle of the districts. And honestly, based on the fact that some of this is burning down, I think it is just safe to say that my traffic flow is pretty bad right now. But that's something we can improve. And like I said, we're probably going to, just tear a chunk of this apart and put the central bank in there. It is this thing, by the way. It's this size. So it's not huge. It's not absolutely enormous. But I think it would look good if we were to maybe take out, say, about a quarter of Hawthorne Grove and turn it into like a little banking space. We can maybe do some IT stuff in there, some offices around it, and kind of have like an IT cluster basically around the central bank, giving us some taller buildings over on this side. I'm actually really concerned about the fact that these fires are continuing to spread. I'm a little bit worried about this. What's my fire coverage looking like up here? It's actually pretty bad. Is what it is. So we might want to get a fire department up there as well. We might want a few things up there. Maybe a little medical clinic as well, because I think the nearest one is it's probably the hospital down here, right? Yeah. All right, we're gonna want a few things. There's an alarming number of hearses. No. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. We're okay. The main thing I wanted to do today was get the university in here and have this space sort of turn into like a big central square plaza looking thing. And I think that's something we've absolutely achieved. I do think it needs some high-rise buildings on this other side just to make it feel a little bit more complete. But we've managed to really nicely expand the city and grow the population with all of this. And of course, we also got this new European space over here as well, which, I mean, from a distance, it makes this look absolutely amazing, and I absolutely love it. Anyway, whatever we decide to build next, whatever we decide to demolish or upgrade, whatever it is, it's going to have to wait until next time, because that is going to do us for today. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.